She told investigators she wanted to kill more helpless people than any man or woman who ever lived. That's how Jane Toppan opened her confession in 1901. Give me 60 seconds, and you'll understand why she landed on 31 and why even that might be a lowball estimate. Stick around. Jane Toppan didn't start life as Jane Toppan. She was Honora Kelly, born in Boston in 1857 to an Irish family already drowning in cheap whiskey and overdue rent. At 5, her father dumped her at the Boston Female Asylum. The staff renamed her because Honora sounded too foreign. A farming couple, the Toppans, took her in sort of. She was never formally adopted, just free labor. Beatings, ridicule, sleeping in the barn, those were the curriculum. By the time she was 12, she'd figured out that kindness could be turned into a weapon. People give you their trust when you're gentle with them. Take it away at the worst possible moment and suddenly you own them. She grew up bright, chatty, and invisible. No one expected anything from the foster girl scrubbing floors, so no one noticed when she started sneaking medical textbooks out of the town library or pocketing the leftover morphine or her foster father's leg came off. At 20, she enrolled as a student nurse for Cambridge Hospital. The yearbook photo shows round cheeks, tight curls, and a grin newspapers later called irrepressibly jolly. Behind that grin lived a running tally of every slight she'd ever swallowed, and one burning question: how many people could I watch die before I got bored? Nursing in the 1890s was equal parts bedpans, laudanum, and prayer. Jane was good at all three, too good. Within months, death rates on her ward crept up. Supervisors called it coincidence. Morphine and atropine were sloshed around like cough syrup. Nobody counted vials. Her first known victim was Amelia Finney, a 36-year-old mother recovering from surgery. Jane slipped in a morphine shot at lights out, watched Amelia drift into velvet sleep, then added a splash of strychnine for punctuation. She later said she felt a flutter in her stomach every time the woman's breathing stuttered. Come sunrise, Amelia was gone, cause of death, post-operative shock. Jane got the day off to recover. Nobody asked from what. Boldness grew. She fed a sailor with typhoid morphine-laced oyster stew. He never made it back to his ship. She poisoned her foster sister Elizabeth with arsenic baked into a congratulatory wedding cake. Elizabeth had just announced her engagement to the man Jane quietly adored. Between 1895 and 1901, hospitals in Cambridge, Boston, and Cape Cod quietly lost patients after patient heart failure, apoplexy, wasting disease, take your pick. Jane logged them like a bird spotting rare sparrows. 21, 22, 23. She refined the craft. Start with morphine for the dreamy slide. Finish with atropine to slam the lungs shut. Sometimes she reversed the order, just to see which hurt worse. She'd climb into bed with the dying, hold their hands, hum lullabies, and count the seconds between heartbeats like she was timing a waltz. If a patient rallied, how tedious, she doubled the dose. Nobody suspected, because who could imagine a caregiver enjoying the finale? If this is making your skin crawl, imagine being a patient in 1901 with no way to Google the person about to give you your bedtime meds. Hit subscribe so you never miss the next medical monster who slipped through. The Davis family murders finally snapped the tripwire. Summer of 1901, Jane vacationed in tiny Cottawamette, Massachusetts, as live-in nurse for Captain Matt Davis, his wife Genevieve, and their daughter Minnie. 2 weeks later, all three were dead. Town gossip turned radioactive. Healthy people don't just wilt one after another. A local pharmacist remembered Jane buying morphine for neuralgia. The bodies came up. The new Marsh test turned arsenic traces bright blue. Arrest came October 29, 1901, as she stepped onto a streetcar in Amherst. She laughed when the cuffs closed. "You're taking me because I'm famous now," she told the officer. During the interrogation she recited names, like a grocery list. 31 confirmed. A few more I can't quite recall. She corrected the stenographer's spelling of atropine and asked if the newspapers would want a shot of her thinking face. Trial day, June 23, 1902, Barnstable County Courthouse. 8 hours start to finish. The jury needed 27 minutes to decide. Not guilty by reason of insanity. Jane stood, curtsied, and asked if the judge might send flowers to Taunton Insane Hospital. The wallpaper there was dreadfully drab. 36 years she spent behind asylum walls, knitting baby booties she'd never hand over and writing cheery letters to editors begging for more flattering photos. Staff called her charming, helpful, occasionally creepy. Once she offered to mix a nice soothing tonic for a fellow patient complaining of headaches. She died at 81, still convinced she was the most successful woman in Massachusetts history. No family claimed the body. The state planted her in a numbered plot, the markers long since been mowed into mulch. So why did Jane Toppan kill? She told psychiatrists it felt better than love. She wanted to crawl inside another person's death and feel their last heartbeat, as if it belonged to her. 31 times she pulled it off, maybe more. After her, hospitals tightened record keeping. Morphine became a controlled substance, and nurses' uniforms got pockets too shallow to hide a syringe. But the deeper scar is quieter. Every time we hand ourselves to a white coat, we're rolling dice that the name tag doesn't belong to someone counting. Subscribe for more stories that prove truth can always outdo fiction and sometimes out-nightmare it too. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.